In the quaint town of Willow Creek, nestled in the heart of the American Midwest, John and Emily Smith had just moved into their charming new home. The old Victorian house, with its creaky floorboards and antique furnishings, seemed to whisper stories of the past to the young couple. One rainy afternoon, as John explored the attic, he stumbled upon a dusty old journal hidden beneath a pile of old blankets. Curiosity piqued, he blew off the dust and opened the journal to find the yellowed pages filled with elegant cursive handwriting. The journal belonged to a distant ancestor named William Hawthorne, who had lived in Willow Creek over a century ago. As John flipped through the pages, he discovered a fascinating tale of love, loss, and a forgotten promise. According to the journal, William had made a solemn vow to his beloved Sarah on her deathbed. He promised to always protect their family and to pass down a secret that could change their lives forever. Intrigued by the mysterious promise, John rushed downstairs to share his discovery with Emily. Together, they pored over the journal, piecing together the clues left by their ancestors. They learned that the promise was tied to a hidden treasure, rumored to be buried somewhere on their property. Determined to uncover the truth, John and Emily set out to unravel the mystery of the forgotten promise. They visited the local historical society, where they found old maps and documents that hinted at the location of the treasure. Armed with this new information, they began to dig in the garden, hoping to unearth the long-lost treasure. As they dug deeper, they encountered unexpected challenges. The ground was hard and rocky, making progress slow and difficult. They also faced skepticism from their neighbors, who thought they were chasing a fool's errand. But John and Emily were undeterred, fueled by the excitement of the adventure and the possibility of uncovering a hidden treasure. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the garden, John's shovel hit something solid. With bated breath, they unearthed an old wooden chest, covered in moss and dirt. With trembling hands, they opened the chest to reveal its contents. Inside, they found a collection of old letters, faded photographs, and a map that seemed to lead to another treasure. But the most surprising discovery was a deed to a piece of land that John and Emily had never seen before. The deed was signed by William Hawthorne himself, transferring ownership of the land to his descendants. Overwhelmed by the magnitude of their discovery, John and Emily realized that the forgotten promise was not just a story from the past, it was a legacy that had been passed down through generations, leading them to this moment. And as they held the deeds and treasures in their hands, they knew that their lives would never be the same again. As the sun rose over Willow Creek, casting a golden glow over the town, John and Emily stood in their garden, staring at the old wooden chest they had unearthed. The contents of the chest, the old letters, faded photographs, and mysterious map were spread out before them, sparking a sense of excitement and wonder. After a restless night filled with dreams of hidden treasures and family secrets, John and Emily were eager to continue their quest. They carefully examined the map, which seemed to indicate a location deep in the woods behind their property. Armed with shovels, lanterns, and a sense of adventure, they set out to uncover the next clue in their family's history. The woods were dense and overgrown, with twisted branches and tangled undergrowth, making progress slow and arduous. But John and Emily pressed on, following the map's directions as best they could. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the air grew cooler and the sounds of the town faded away, replaced by the rustling of leaves and the distant call of birds. After what seemed like hours of hiking, they finally reached the spot marked on the map, a clearing surrounded by ancient oak trees. In the center of the clearing stood a weathered stone marker, its inscription barely legible after years of exposure to the elements. With a sense of anticipation, John and Emily began to dig at the base of the stone marker. The ground was hard and compacted, requiring all of their strength to break through. But their efforts were rewarded when they uncovered a small iron chest buried beneath the earth. Heart-pounding, John opened the chest to reveal a collection of old coins, jewelry, and a tattered journal. The journal, written by Sarah Hawthorne, revealed the true nature of the promise made by William Hawthorne to his beloved wife. According to the journal, the treasure was not just a collection of valuables, it was a symbol of hope and resilience in the face of adversity. Sarah had written about the hardships she and William had faced, from crop failures to illness, and how they had always relied on their love and the promise of a better future to see them through. As John and Emily read Sarah's words, they felt a deep connection to their ancestors and a renewed sense of purpose in their quest. They realized that the treasure was not just a material reward, it was a reminder of the strength and determination that ran in their blood. With the sun setting behind them, casting long shadows over the clearing, John and Emily decided to return home, eager to share their discovery with the townspeople. Little did they know, their journey was far from over, and the most surprising twists and turns were yet to come. As John and Emily made their way back to town, the weight of their discovery hung heavy on their minds. The iron chest they had unearthed in the woods contained more than just treasure. It held the key to a centuries-old mystery that had been hidden in the shadows of their family's history. Arriving home, they carefully examined the contents of the chest once more. Among the old coins and jewelry, they found a bundle of letters tied with a faded ribbon. As they read through the letters, they pieced together a tale of love, betrayal, and a secret that had been buried for generations. The letters were written by William Hawthorne to his brother Thomas, detailing the events that led to the promise he had made to Sarah on her deathbed. According to the letters, Thomas had been jealous of William's relationship with Sarah and had conspired to separate them. Driven by greed and envy, Thomas had manipulated Sarah into believing that William had betrayed her, leading to a tragic misunderstanding that tore the lovers apart. In his guilt and despair, William had made the promise to Sarah, vowing to always protect their family and to pass down the secret of the treasure. Shocked by this revelation, John and Emily realized that the betrayal that had occurred generations ago was still affecting their family to this day. The mysterious figure who had claimed ownership of the treasure must be a descendant of Thomas, seeking to reclaim what he believed was rightfully his. Determined to uncover the truth, John and Emily delved deeper into the town's history, seeking out old records and documents that could shed light on the past. They discovered that Thomas had indeed been a prominent figure in the town, known for his cunning and ruthlessness. Armed with this new information, John and Emily set out to confront the mysterious figure, believing that he held the key to unraveling the mystery of the forgotten promise. But as they approached his house on the outskirts of town, they realized that their quest had only just begun and the true extent of the betrayal was yet to be revealed. As John and Emily stood outside the imposing mansion that belonged to the descendant of Thomas Hawthorne, they knew that confronting him would not be easy. The man, known as Richard Hawthorne, was rumored to be as cunning and ruthless as his ancestor, and they had to tread carefully if they were to uncover the truth. Inside the mansion, Richard sat in his study, surrounded by the trappings of wealth and power. He had been following John and Emily's progress closely, aware that they were getting closer to uncovering the secret of the forgotten promise. But he was determined to stop them at any cost, for the treasure held not just material wealth, but also the key to his family's reputation and legacy. As John and Emily entered the mansion, they were met with suspicion and hostility from Richard's servants, but they pressed on, determined to confront Richard and uncover the truth. They found him in his study, poring over old maps and documents that seemed to confirm his claim to the treasure. With a steely resolve, John and Emily demanded answers from Richard, who remained calm and composed. He admitted to being a descendant of Thomas Hawthorne and claimed that the treasure rightfully belonged to him. He also revealed that he had been aware of the promise made by William Hawthorne and had been searching for the treasure for years. But John and Emily were not convinced. They knew that there was more to the story than Richard was letting on. With a sense of urgency, they searched the mansion for clues, uncovering hidden passageways and secret compartments that revealed the true extent of Richard's deception. They discovered that Richard had been manipulating events in Willow Creek for years, using his wealth and influence to cover up the truth about the promise and the treasure. He had bribed officials, destroyed evidence, and even committed acts of violence to protect his secret. Armed with this new knowledge, John and Emily realized that they were running out of time. Richard was closing in on the treasure, and they had to act fast if they were to stop him. With a plan forming in their minds, they prepared to confront Richard one final time, knowing that the fate of their family and the legacy of the forgotten promise hung in the balance. As the sun set over Willow Creek, casting long shadows over the town, John and Emily stood outside Richard Hawthorne's mansion, preparing for the final showdown. They knew that confronting Richard would be dangerous, but they were determined to uncover the truth about the forgotten promise and protect their family's legacy. Inside the mansion, Richard sat in his study, poring over the old maps and documents that he believed would lead him to the treasure. He was confident that he had outsmarted John and Emily, but little did he know that they were closing in on him. With a sense of purpose, John and Emily entered the mansion, ready to confront Richard once and for all. They found him in his study, surrounded by his ill-gotten gains, a smug smile on his face. "We know the truth, Richard," John said, his voice steady. "We know about the promise, and we know that you have been lying to us and to the town." Richard's smile faltered, but he quickly regained his composure. "You have no proof," he sneered. "I have the documents and the maps to prove that the treasure is rightfully mine." But John and Emily were not deterred. They had uncovered evidence of Richard's deception, and they were ready to expose him for the fraud that he was. As they presented their evidence, Richard's facade crumbled. He knew that he had been caught, and he lashed out in a fit of rage. He lunged at John, but Emily intervened, grabbing a nearby candlestick and striking Richard over the head. As Richard lay unconscious on the floor, John and Emily knew that their ordeal was far from over. They had to find the treasure and ensure that it was protected from those who would seek to exploit it. Using the maps and clues they had gathered, John and Emily set out into the woods, following the trail that would lead them to the treasure. As they navigated through the darkness, they encountered obstacles and challenges, but they pressed on, fueled by the promise of a better future for their family. Finally, after hours of searching, they reached the final destination, a hidden cave deep in the heart of the forest. Inside the cave, they found the treasure, boxes filled with gold coins, jewels, and artifacts that spoke of a time long past. But more importantly, they found closure. The treasure was not just a collection of valuables, it was a symbol of hope and resilience, a testament to the strength of their family and the power of a promise kept. As they emerged from the cave, the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, illuminating their faces with a sense of peace and satisfaction. They knew that their journey was over and that they had uncovered the truth about the forgotten promise. As they made their way back to town, carrying the treasure with them, they knew that their lives would never be the same. They had faced danger and deception, but they had emerged stronger and more determined than ever to protect their family's legacy. And as they looked out over the town of Willow Creek, they knew that they had finally fulfilled the promise that had been made so long ago. As the sun sets over Willow Creek, we conclude this thrilling journey of the forgotten promise. Just like John and Emily, we delved into a world of ancestral mysteries and forgotten promises, where the past and present intertwine in a tale of love and betrayal. If you were moved by this story and wish to hear more and learn from our videos, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you won't miss any stories. Thank you for joining us, and may the quest for truth never end.